We're going to tie these 9 things together in just a moment, but when I was putting together these points, I was going to call the video How to Outclass a Narcissist. And I was thinking about these things and I thought, most people are already doing these. It's not that we need to learn how to do them, but we need to just simply be aware that we are doing them and that we are outclassing narcissists. Now, maybe you're not doing all 9 of these things. So let's go through them. And if you're doing them, you can let us know if you care to in the comments section. But number 1 is you look like you. I'm kind of a mind reader here. I think I know what you're thinking. You're saying, yeah, of course I look like me. Who else would I look like? Well, what I'm saying is that narcissists, even covert narcissists, have this air of grandiosity. Now, what we would call, I guess, an overt narcissist would do this more so than others, but even covert narcissists, they may not do it in their style. That is to say, in the clothes they wear. They may not try to look wealthier than they really are, but it's in their personality, it's in their air, it's in the way they present themselves. Now, when you go to a therapist for evaluation, when you get your written evaluation, you will notice they say that you presented yourself in such a manner. The therapist will say you presented yourself as maybe quiet, or maybe you present yourself as outgoing. What they're saying is you may not really be this way, but this is the way that you present yourself. In other words, this may be masking a little bit, but this is the way you come across. Now, a narcissist, I find, they love to mask. They love to be somebody else. And sometimes they openly brag about it. Now, this is not appearance. It's just the way they want to be received. I know a lot of narcissists, or I've read, I should say, about a lot of narcissists who flat out lie about their past. It's just kind of interesting how common this is. If you ever watch videos on these guys who, romance scammers, it seems like it's almost a constant, ubiquitous, that they have this elaborate past where they worked in some secret organization. And I think what they do, number 1, is this elevates themselves in the eyes of others, which is what a narcissist loves to do. But I also think it presents a really good cover for them. So people wonder, why is this narcissist doing what he or she is doing? Why don't I know everything I should know about a narcissist? Because, once you get to know them, you find out they're really not very open. They're hiding a lot of things about themselves. And they do that on purpose because they've got I had a psychology teacher in college, and he would call this dirty laundry, that you would hide your dirty laundry or skeletons in your closet. Narcissists have closets full of skeletons and dirty laundry. They don't want you to know about it, and they don't want you to know what they are even doing at the moment. So they make up stories. And I've seen this over and over and over again, where they say they're on a secret mission for the CIA or some international organization. Are you gullible enough to believe that? Believe it or not. Again, if you watch these romance scammers videos about them, a lot of people believe them. A lot of people believe them. They come across as sometimes millionaires, multi-millionaires. I saw one romance scammer in, I think it was Australia, that he would go shopping for very expensive real estate. He would go shopping for multi-million-dollar homes. And he would take his victim, with him. It was a way of convincing her, this was a guy, but sometimes they're women. He would convince her that he was really, really wealthy. And oh, by the way, would you loan me some money? And for some reason, they didn't catch the connection. And one of the narcissists in my life, one of the odd things about this person is, really odd, was he was constantly shopping for real estate. He didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. What was he doing? I think he was living in this denial fantasy world. But he was trying to look like somebody. Not necessarily trying to convince me, but I think it was self-delusional. He was trying to convince himself that he was somebody. But you, one of the things that makes you outclass a narcissist is you just look like you, and not just the way you appear, but the way you behave. You accept yourself as you are. That's how you outclass a narcissist. Number two is you are a straight talker. A lot of people use the term shoot from the hip. In other words, you say what you mean and mean what you say. Just that simple. Where with a narcissist, they will say just about anything that makes them look good. In other words, they're pathological liars. And when I use the term pathological, that's what I mean. They're pathological. It's a neurological problem. It's a challenge they have where they can't not lie. And when they tell a lie, somehow it always makes them look good in the eyes of others. Now, the scary thing is, they're really good at it. At least the narcissists that I've known, they are so gifted at lying when they get to that stage in your relationship called the smear campaign. They're so convincing. I mean, the people they go to, they just believe them. I don't know why. Why did I believe the narcissist? I don't know. I say he, they, I've had more than one. They just came across as on. I mean, I believe everybody. It's not just the narcissist, but I tend to believe people, which I guess is what makes me a mark, which makes me a target for the narcissist. So you are a straight talker. I probably could have added number 10 in that you are a believer. You take people at face value, but I didn't think of it till just now. So you can add that as number 10 if you'd like. Number 3 is you know how to outclass a narcissist because you know how to be quiet. Most narcissists I've known don't know when to shut up. Now, I'm not saying they necessarily talk constantly, incessantly talking, but I'm saying if they want to talk, they talk and everyone listens. An affair with you just one-on-one, maybe at home, maybe in a car, maybe at work, maybe at school, all the places you could be alone with a narcissist. If you're talking and they want to say something, they don't care. They just start talking. Having a normal give and take conversation is quite foreign to most narcissists that I have known. Now, they do that, obviously, sometimes, but if it occurs to them that they've got something to say, they will get off that give and take proper, polite conversation, and they will speak and say whatever they want. We outclass narcissists, and most of us don't do that. I mean, there are some times when I probably should have, and there have been some times where there was an emergency, and I had to talk over top of somebody. And there were other times where I was just being careless. I wasn't stopping and thinking this is impolite, but I knew better. And it's not something that most of us do normally or typically, but we outclass narcissists because we know when to be quiet and let others talk, or when to be quiet and just let it be quiet. We just know. We just know. It's like it's inherent. Okay, it's pathological. Number 4 is you are strong and resilient. And you know that by life experiences. One thing that narcissists are not is they're not really strong in anything. There's nothing that they are really gifted at, good at. Exceptions, yeah, of course there are. But resilient, they don't stick to things. They are dependably undependable, as I like to say. But one of the ways that you outclass the narcissist that has tried to destroy you, or maybe even at this very moment is destroying you, is you are stronger than the narcissist. And by the way, narcissists hate that about you. They want to prove that they are stronger than you so that you will appear to be weaker than them. And they will do everything they can to knock you off balance. But you're resilient. Even if they knock you off balance, if you're like most people, you know where your center is. You get back on center. You don't stay off balance. The narcissist, it seems to me, and you can tell me if I'm wrong on this, Seems to me they're always off balance. They don't know what normal is. They don't know what it is to be balanced. All they know how to do is seek out supply to boost their ego at other people's expense. And they never boost their ego. Very seldom do they boost their ego genuinely. Maybe some of them do, but you want to boost your ego, be good at sports. Or you want to boost your ego, be good at academics. You want to boost your ego, be good at your profession. Or be as good as you possibly can. And nobody can be good at everything, right? And most of us, we have something that we excel in. Maybe not the best, maybe not world class by any means, but there's some things we just love to do. And it's good enough for us. Not so with a narcissist. The narcissist has to always come across, or typically have to come across, as being superior. They're best at it. Whatever they do. Playing sports, they're best, and if you beat them, you cheat. Academics, I don't know how many narcissists I've known who have presented themselves as being highly intelligent. It's fairly common, at least from my experience, and I'm in my 70s, I've learned a thing or two. And the reason I do these videos is I just like to share with people my life experience. Maybe you can learn something from it. But I don't know how many narcissists I've known who have said that they are members of the Mensa Society. I think to be a member of Mensa, you have to validate that you have an IQ of 130. That's it. Take an IQ test. If it's legitimate, not one of these things you find on the internet, where they're trying to get your email address, because you take one of those things, I'll guarantee you, they'll say your IQ's over 130. But they say they're members of Mensa Society. They just flat out lying, most of them. Now, maybe one or two of them may be. You don't know. But why do they do that? Well, for one, nobody's going to prove them wrong, right? And number two, how do you disprove somebody's not a member of the Mensa Society? So this is the way of bragging, of elevating themselves above others that nobody else can disprove. So they say they are extremely intelligent, but from observing them, that if they were smart, if they really were bright, and some of them are, most of them aren't, but those who aren't, if they were really, truly, genuinely bright, they'd take a different path in life. They would overcome their narcissism. If they were smart, they would see that their narcissism is hurting them. And I can tell you about narcissists that I've known in my life, one guy in particular, that if I wanted to hurt this guy, I would not do, and I don't want to hurt him, but I would not do to him what he does to himself. He doesn't have a job, doesn't have a driver's license, been taken away by court. He doesn't have a job because no one's going to tell him what to do. And besides, he's stiffed so many people financially that if he had a job and had wages, they'd be garnished. Court would order him to give up his wages, so he can't have a job. The point is, I would never do that to anybody, but this guy's doing it to himself, and he's not smart enough to figure out. That saying, the guy's his own worst enemy, and then we like to say, not as long as I'm alive, and that's kind of a joke. But the truth of the matter is, this guy actually is his own worst enemy, and I say he still is because he's still alive. He hasn't died, he hasn't changed. So you are strong and resilient, and you are, independent to some degree. All of us have dependency on somebody. All of us are answerable to somebody. Unless you live alone on an island somewhere, you are accountable to somebody. When I was in business, I used to like to think of myself as being free from being supervised. I didn't like having a boss. I like making my own decisions, but I had to admit that, I had to answer to the government a lot. They wanted their tax money. They had rules as far as what I said in advertising. I did a lot of direct mail. The post office rather has rules you have to go by. I couldn't just do whatever I wanted to do. So we could say that I was independent, but narcissists like to think of themselves as independent. Nobody tells them what to do, but they're not. They are so bound, talk about trauma bonding. These people are bound by themselves. They got themselves all wrapped up in a snarly binding. Think of a little kitten playing with a ball of yarn, and next thing you know, the kitten is the ball of yarn, all wrapped up. That's the narcissist. He is so, or she is so wrapped up in themselves. And the situations, the circumstances they made for themselves, made their own bed, so to speak. But one way that you outclass a narcissist is you don't have to put up with that because you don't do it. You don't get yourself all wrapped up constantly every day in everything you say and do. And that's part of being a liar, by the way. When people are pathological liars, every time they tell a lie, that's another snare in their life. And they've got to remember that lie, and nobody can remember all of their lies. But hopefully you don't do that. So you are free of all that. You have an independence. And these narcissists think nobody controls them. Well, they are themselves innately out of control. So they themselves are controlling themselves, making themselves uncontrollable. If that makes sense. Number 6 is you don't confuse, this is a big one, you don't confuse confidence with pride. At least I hope you don't. Now, there is a huge difference in being self-confident. Everybody needs to have a certain level of self-confidence, but we need to know what we can do and what we can't do. Because if we don't, we're going to get hurt, I'm pretty sure that I can't fly. I mean, if you want to see me jump off a building and try to fly, sorry, but I'm not going to do it. Not even, what do they call that, parasailing? Not even with a parasail, not even with a parachute. Not going to do it. A lot of people love to do that, but I can't fly. I don't mind heights. As long as I'm, on a ladder and don't go over 4 feet, I'm okay with that. But Grand Canyon type height, no, I don't want to stand at the edge of the Grand Canyon and look over it. I just don't have that much confidence. But I do have some self-confidence. And I was listening to a YouTube video earlier today that was a fairly successful channel. And one of the things the presenter said was, he was kind of hesitant to start his channel because he lacked confidence, but he pushed ahead. That's the confidence I'm talking about. The confidence where I'm not sure I can do it, but I'm going to give this a shot. But not parasailing. We're talking about making videos or something. When I was a kid, I wasn't real confident that I could ride a bicycle, but I got on a bicycle, leaned against the house, and took off. I said, oh, I can do this. I got confidence that I can ride a bicycle. That wasn't pride. That was just, I'm confident I can do it. I'm confident I can drive. Now, other people may not have that confidence in me, but I'm confident I can drive pretty well most of the time. But the narcissists, confidence, they're just flat out arrogant. They're proudful. They're, what would we call them? Narcissists. They're better than everybody else. They can outdo you. And if you do something better than them, you will be on their crosshairs. They're going to take you down or tear you down. They may not target that very thing that you did well, but they will smear you in some other area because you can't. You don't dare, in their thinking, you don't dare outperform the narcissist. That's not confidence, that's just arrogance, that's pride. So we outclass narcissists, I think most people do, because we don't confuse pride with confidence, or confidence with pride. Number 7, you're considerate. You are a considerate person. You outclass the narcissist because you know how to be kind to people. Because you're being kind to them. Because you have this moral thing inside of you, this altruism. This thing where if somebody needs help and you can help, you're willing to help as long as it's reasonable to do so. The narcissist, yeah, they'll be kind and considerate as long as they get something out of it. During that love bonding stage of the narcissist grasp on you where they're trying to suck you in for the first time, they can pretend to be very considerate. They know what it looks like, but they don't know how to do it. They can just act. They watch other people be considerate. They get the mechanisms of it, the mechanics, and so they put on an act. They put on a show. And they're really good at this. They're believable. That's why we get sucked into their sphere, their influence. That's why we got bound up in their ball of yarn. Number 8 is you're seldom lazy. Got to admit here that I took a nap this afternoon. One of the benefits of being retired, if you're snoozy, you can take a snooze. Probably do it more than I should, because if I sleep in the afternoon, hard to get to sleep at night. But maybe by the time I'm in my 80s, I'll learn better. But the narcissist, they just lazy all the time. All the time. They're always looking for a way out of work. A lot of these people, they don't want to have a job. They just don't want to work. And if they do have a job, they're going to do the least they could possibly do and get away with it. But at the same time, they're going to try to be sycophants. That is, some people call it brown-nosing. They're going to try to impress their supervisors with their astounding personality, and amazingly, sometimes they get away with that. They don't do it. Do you know people like that? Have you ever worked with a narcissist who was basically incompetent, or maybe he was competent, just didn't want to do anything, but still he or she got a promotion because of their personality, because of the way they can manipulate their supervisors? Most of us are just not lazy. We understand we need to go to work. We may not like to go to work. We may look forward to our days off, but the narcissist doesn't look forward to his days off because he didn't have any. All his days are days off. Put it in those terms. Number 9 is you outclass a narcissist because you control yourself. You're an individual with self-control. One of the markers of a narcissist, a psychopath, is that lack of self-control, that impulsivity where they do things or say things without thinking. Now again, in the love bonding stage, that's where they get their act together, and they're not quite as impulsive because they want you to believe that they are together, that they are centered. So again, they put on an act. They know what it looks like, but it doesn't come to them naturally. With people who are not narcissists, we outclass the narcissist in that we practice self-control. We are not individuals who are normally impulsive. Now, sometimes we are, and if we are, we get ourselves into trouble. But if we're going to go buy a car or anything that is expensive, we will stop and think about it. We're not going to say, wow, I like this car. Where can I find the money to pay for it? I know, I got charge cards. Well, narcissists, they may have charge cards. Some of them don't, because they have been too impulsive too often that they don't have any credit. And if you have bad credit, doesn't mean you're a narcissist. But if you're a narcissist, chances are you got bad credit because you're impulsive. They can't control themselves. But if we go shopping for a car, most people I know will do their due diligence. They want to make sure they're getting their money's worth, that they're not being scammed. And when the salesman comes along and says, hey, I got somebody else ready to buy this car, but if you want it, I'll make sure you get it today. Sometimes that's actually true. They do have another guy. I was looking at a 55 Chevy. 4-door, almost totally original, and the price was right where it needed to be. I thought to myself, okay, if I can sell my truck, I'll buy the Chevy. Well, the Chevy sold, So sometimes when a salesman says, I got a buyer on another line here, so if you want it, you got to buy it. Sometimes they're telling the truth, but impulsivity didn't win. I wish I had the Chevy. I don't have the Chevy. So I'm going to be satisfied with my pickup truck. What would a narcissist do? He'd try to figure out a way to have both and then get himself in a bind financially. That is how we outclass narcissists. We have self-control. Or inversely, the narcissists are impulsive. Let's tie all this together, and if we could just say one word, well, let's say 2 words that would summarize everything. Those 2 words would be, you think. You think. All right, what about the narcissist? Just occurred to me, I could say, you stink. Speaking of us, people who are not narcissists, typically we engage our brain. We think things through. We think through how we come across to other people. We think through the importance of being honest. We know when to let other people speak, and we can go through all these points. It's all a matter of thinking. It's all a matter of being cognitive. It's all a matter of using our brains to come to do the right thing. And narcissists also use their brains, but their brains are used for something very different. I mean, it's not that they don't think, but what they think is, how can I feed my ego? That's it. How do I feed my ego? How can I use this situation? How can I pervert this set of circumstances? How can I undermine this to feed my ego? And undermining seems to be what they're all about. They never, as we said earlier, they never feed their ego by accomplishing something, because there's something about being tricky, about being sneaky, about being subversive that satisfies their ego. So that's the path they take. On your screen, there's a red circle, lower right-hand corner. Click on it, join our YouTube family, be a subscriber. There's a rectangle, upper left-hand corner. Let's keep on talking. Click that, and the conversation continues. We will see you next time.